Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my first online masterclass in public speaking. We'll be discussing a number of tips, tricks, and secrets to becoming a top speaker. I'd like to acknowledge the support of the Impact Center, Molemo Occupational Wellness, Smile Music, and IJ Energy Technologies for their support for this program. Please do subscribe to our YouTube page and enable us to produce more videos. Also click on the notification tab so that when we post new videos, you will get notified and you will know what we are up to. Oh, by the way, like the video, it really helps. Let's get on it. My name is Sipho Mnyakeni. I'm a presentation coach, an author, and a speaker. Public speaking is a very important skill that you need to develop in order for you to advance in whatever career that you have decided to embark on. In this masterclass, we'll be addressing 6 topics, and we're hoping that through addressing those, you'll be empowered to be better in your public speaking space. I hope you'll participate, especially in the last session, which will be a live question and answer session. There, I'd love to have you live online. This one, the first 5 will be recorded, and I trust that you will glean much even there. Here's a preview of the first 5 parts. The first part will be attention-grabbing tools that you need as a speaker to grab the audience. The purpose of a speaker is to be heard, and in order for you to be heard, people must want to listen to you. So what are some of the tools that some of us are born with, that some of us must develop in order for the audiences to want to hear us? Secondly, elements of a perfect presentation. When you have delivered a presentation and you go back to your seat, what are the 5 things that should have happened that must make you say, I delivered? Sometimes they may not be clapping hands, but I delivered. Remember that a great speech is not always one that the audience approves of, but it's a speech that has an impact on the audience. They will either smile, laugh, get excited, cry, or even get angry at you. It means the message has gone through. Number 3, we'll talk about the essentials of public speaking. Sometimes we might refer to these as the important things that as a public speaker you need to take into cognizance as you speak, as you observe other people speaking. And then we'll talk about the negatives, the 10 red flags, 10 things that speakers do that they miss the impact by doing those things. I just did one of them now. But when you do it a lot, it becomes distraction. That's one of the things that many speakers are struggling to get rid of in their system. And finally, we'll look at lessons from the Mama's speech. Julius Malema, the president of the EFF, gave an arousing talk during the funeral of Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela. I regard that as one of the top speeches that have been given in this country, and also by him. And then the bonus session is where I'm hoping that we'll have a live conversation with you of question and answer session, and we'll also discuss 25 things that every public speaker must be able to do. In this masterclass divided into these 6 sessions, I'm hoping that you and I will have a rapport and that you leave this broadcast a better speaker. Here is part 1 of the masterclass. But what is a masterclass? I need to explain that so that no one can come out thinking that I'm assuming I'm a master in public speaking. Not really. A masterclass is a class taught by someone who has an expert knowledge or skill in a particular area. Please note, expert knowledge. In other words, I have researched, I have searched, I've observed, I've watched, and I've practiced a lot of the things that I'm going to speak about. And so I'm sharing them with you so that you might become a better speaker. And a public speaker is someone who who engages in addressing an audience with an aim of communicating something to them. Public speaking is traditionally looked at as one speaking in front of a live audience. But I'm going to take it a bit further and say to you, in these days of social distancing, these days where virtual communities are rising, public speaking also applies to how you communicate with the audience that's watching you on YouTube, on Facebook, or whatever method we are using. So the purpose of this whole masterclass is that we share skills that can help you to up your public speaking game. You must be a better speaker after this. The level of your growth will depend on your searching, seeking, pursuing. Remember that ngeke uyithole uhleli khoneni. You can't just be a great speaker by watching videos. You become a better speaker by acquiring knowledge and skills and practicing them. And so the most important part of this exercise is when you practice. What are the 5 attention grabbers that speakers need to develop or use in order for them to catch audiences? Is there a speaker you think about and you say, this person, every time they stand up, I want to listen to them? There are speakers that you want to listen to. There are speakers that you struggle to listen to. And sometimes a speaker is a teacher in your lecture room. They are the worst speakers you've ever heard, but you have to listen, and you even doze while you are listening. As a speaker, develop this quality where when you speak, people want to hear what you are saying. It's not only about the content, it's also about the delivery method. What are the things, the little things that you are doing that make people say, when Sipho is speaking, I want to be there listening? What are the 5 tools to be heard? Tool number 1, your voice. Some people were born with attention-grabbing voices. I'm thinking Joshua Maponga. What a voice. He's got a voice. If he can say hello, people might say, wow, what a speaker. He's powerful. The voice itself demands attention. But not all of us are given that skill. Not all of us have that skill. Some of us have to make with voices that are in the middle of good and ugly. But whatever voice you have, as you practice speaking, it becomes unique. It becomes your voice. It doesn't have to be a thick voice, even though that's a wonderful voice to have. But whatever voice you have, make use of it. If you note, there's a lot of variation in speaking. And as much as you variate, as much as you use variation, your audience feels at home because you're taking them through an experience. Ups, downs, long, short. You don't want to use a voice that is monotonous. Like many of our cabinet ministers, when they speak, they make us go to sleep. It's a skill they need to develop. No matter how small your voice is, whether you've got a strong voice like Joshua Maponga, or you've got a light voice like the Chief Justice, whatever voice you have, use it to be heard by your audience. Speak up deliberately. Never speak slow and little and small, especially as you come up. I have to admit, there are people who've reached stages in their life that it doesn't matter how they speak, we want to hear them. Remember, these are tools that you use if you want people to want to hear you. There are people like Professor Thuli Madonsela. She doesn't have the best of voices, but she has an authority behind her name that makes us want to listen to her. Try speaking like her in an audience of 500 students. You'll come back and apologize. I'm urging you, speak up, be heard, make sure that you are noticed, and your voice is the first tool that you need to develop. Practice projecting to objects. Sometimes stand in a large auditorium and look at the door at the back and speak to the door. There's a difference between projecting and shouting. Shouting doesn't make sense. Projecting is directed at the people that you are speaking to. And when you speak to an audience, always project to the last people in the audience so that they hear you. Then you'll be heard. Sometimes you stand up and speak in front of an audience, and there are pockets of murmurings among your audience. It's a sign they are not hearing you. And they're assuming since they are not hearing you, you're not talking to them. Therefore, they find things to do. Speak to everyone in the room. Even those who are not interested, they must lift their heads and be like, oh, he's talking to me. In order to develop your voice, you need to get used to speaking to yourself. It might be a sign of insanity, but great things were done by people who were regarded as insane. Speak to yourself. As you are driving, prepare your speech by reciting it, by rehearsing it. Speak it. Hear the words that you speak. Nothing irritates like a person who goes to present the speech and then there's a word he struggles to use in the speech. It tells us he never rehearsed the speech. It might be the name of a person. It might be a number, a large number. If you had rehearsed the speech, that number would not defeat you like it defeats many people. A bold voice silences audience. And so the first tool is your voice. Use your voice. The second tool is pictures. I'm not talking about PowerPoint presentation or speaking aids. I'm saying as you speak, use pictures in your words. Make sure that your words are carefully crafted, that the listener sees what you are saying. I know it sounds a bit strange. We normally say, hear what I say. I say, see what I say. When I describe a scenario, I must describe it in a way that as you sit there, when I'm describing the weather, that it was cold, I must find words to make you shiver in your seat, even though it's not cold, because you have mastered the skill of using pictures in your words. But how can you do that? Enlarge your vocabulary. Enlarge your vocabulary. You cannot be a speaker if you depend on nice. People who depend on nice are people who use the word nice whenever they don't know a word to use. It's a nice day. It's a nice audience. A nice place. Nice, banish that word from your vocabulary and find words that are vibrant, that are vivid, that explain exactly what you are saying until the audience can see what you are saying. Your choice of words must be deliberate. One of two very powerful speakers, in my view, who have mastered the art of words is Dr. Aaron Lichuti and Dr. John Dibane. In two different ways. Those two people are able to use words to make you think. You feel like asking them to pause while you ponder on these words. So, enlarge your vocabulary. Read, and listen to people speak. You see, when we watch movies, we're not watching it to know what happens at the end. There's a lot of beautiful lessons happening in this series that we watch. There's money heist. There's whatever you're watching. Find out how they're using words to express what they want to say. One of the reasons you keep watching is because they've used pictures and words to put you at a point where you want to know what happens next. Pictures are tools you need to use. It's not only about constructing poetic words, which some people are gifted with, or complex words. It's putting everyday words together so that you describe things that a listener can see and feel. The listener doesn't only hear your words, but they experience them. If you are known for being a storyteller who puts people in different levels through your presentation, I promise you, they will want to hear you speak. Tool number 3. How do I call this? Teasers. Sometimes I call it expectation. Be a speaker who plants various teasers through your speech. What do they call this? Cliffhangers. As you speak, make them ask themselves questions about what's going to come next. Carefully craft your talk in such a way that no one wants to leave. Let me tell you a short illustration. I was speaking at an event of NASDEV in the Western Cape, and one of the speakers before me was I think I'll call a comrade. She was speaking and she was about to leave after her speech because she had another engagement. I was immediately after her. After she spoke, she sat down. I was called to the podium. And while she was standing up to walk out, I said, I am glad that Comrade Sipho is leaving because I am not sure she was going to like what I'm going to say. I promise you. She sat down and listened to the rest of my speech. It's not only a trick to get people to listen to you. It's a tool you are using to get people engaged in your presentation such that with every passing minute, they want to know what's next. By the time you are done, they are shocked that an hour has passed. One of my humbling moments is when I addressed learners and 45 minutes into the speech, and they were told it's going to be short. 45 minutes into it, I look at my clock and I say, oh, I'm very sorry, my time is up. And you'll hear a chorus of learners saying, no, you still have time. Even when they're about to have lunch. It's humbling. Don't do it often. Don't abuse their life. But it's humbling to understand that these people are willing to suspend their meal because they still want to listen to you. And another tip right there, when people still want to listen to you, cut. Don't wait until people chase you off the stage. Always get to the point, and while they're still hungry and you've given them enough, leave them. They'll want to listen to you again. So be a speaker with expectation, a speaker who throws cliffhangers throughout their talk. The fourth tool, what's in it for me? It's a question that every audience member asks themselves as they listen to you. What's in it for me? Why must I listen to you? Remember that people don't owe you the right to hear you. You have no right to speak to anyone. You earn that right. And one of the ways you do that is to demonstrate to them how your speech is beneficial to them. Speaking is not about expressing how eloquent you are. No. It is expressing, communicating a message that the audience need in order for them to advance. Any audience that sits to listen to you, they sit because they believe there's something you're going to say that will better their life. Think about that even as you prepare. Talk to them, not at them. Many speakers blabber on when the audience has left mentally. Sometimes you can tell that the audience is gone, even though they are still seated there, but they are gone. And there you are. Continue speaking because I have not finished my notes. It's not about your notes. It's about the audience that you are supposed to empower through your talk. So as you present, ask yourself, what's in it for them? What am I offering them for the privilege of addressing them? Understand why they want to listen to you and realize that's important. In planning a talk, you need to ask one question: who's my audience? I've seen people go to speak when they didn't ask who the audience is. And you can tell by the content of their talk that they did not know who they are going to talk to. So when you're invited to talk, one of the first questions you ask is, who is in the audience? What is the profile of my audience? So that I may speak to them, reach them, and not just over them. The last one, it's a tool that I believe we must develop. Not all of us have it. I call it presence. I could have called it stage presence, but I choose to call it presence. Be present. Be there. It's a mixture of confidence and preparation and attitude. Be there. When you stand on stage, stand as someone who's confident. They know what they're going to talk about. There are two extremes. The first extreme is someone who stands there and they want to quickly speak and run away. And when they get to the front, once they stand up there, they lift up their heads like, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about this. You are telling us that you want to leave us. We are boring you. You are tired of us. You really don't want to be there. Be present. And there's calmness that comes with standing on stage and surveying the audience for a few seconds. You are showing them that you are there. And you want them to notice you. Some people walk around the stage as a way of expressing that presence. It's okay, but don't overdo it. Presence can be expressed by walking, even by standing and having your voice fill the room. Just take charge when you're on stage. Remember, when you're on stage, you are the most important person at that point. Even if there's a lawyer, a doctor, a prime minister, a president, a king in the audience, at that moment, they are listening to you. So take charge. Be confident. The audience is going to read your attitude and they'll respond accordingly. I hope that you have these 5 things that we spoke about, and I trust that they will be developed as you continue to become a speaker. Let's quickly run through them again. The 5 attention grabbers. 1 is your voice. 2 is pictures that you use in your word. 3 is cliffhangers that you put across your speech as teasers, making your audience expectant. 4, ask yourself, what's in it for this audience? If they ask, what's in it for me? What answer are you going to give them? And finally, take charge. Have presence in that stage. You were asked to speak for a reason. Now go out there and deliver. Thank you very much.